while my mother and I were going through some of my dad's things after he passed away, I found this Surefire 6P flashlight. And I got to look at it and I realized it is an incandescent flashlight. I think all of Surefires now are pretty much LED, but so this is kind of like a vintage classic flashlight. And I was really surprised that, I guess I'm spoiled, but compared to modern flashlights, this thing is not really that bright. So I got to looking on the internet trying to figure out a way to upgrade this, and I came across a company called Malkoff Devices, and they make a really, really nice LED upgrade drop-in for this thing, which turns this from a kind of a vintage dinosaur into a modern monster. This is what I'm talking about. This is their M61 drop-in. That's what we're going to be taking a look at coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me. So as I said, I found this old Surefire 6P when my mom and I were going over my dad's things after he passed away in June of 2019. And if you can see in there, but this thing has an incandescent bulb assembly in it, which was state-of-the-art back then, but not so much now. And like I said, when I try to compare it, and as you can see in the night shots in just a minute, I compared it to the to any of the new Surefires or any other flashlights I've got now. It didn't seem quite as bright. And it's still a good flashlight, and it still did a pretty good job, but what it is standard is 65 lumens. Now, I can remember when 65 lumens was really, really bright. Again, not so much now. So I started looking for some LED replacements. So the first place I went was to Surefire. Let me just show you what we got here to begin with, if it stays light, if you got any light here. So this is the Surefire, I guess, lamp module, and you can see it's a WG1 Surefire P60. So this P60 is a 65 lumens. Now apparently they used to offer another one that had a higher lumens level, but they don't have that anymore. This is the only one they have on their websites. So I went to Amazon, and I did find quite a few for the $20 range up, and they all honestly seemed like they were from overseas, we'll call it that, you know, China, probably China. And I just thought, man, this is a Surefire made in America product. I really don't want to put a Chinese head on it, Chinese guts in it, and it also, they just didn't look very solid. I saw one of them on Amazon though that looked a little better, and it was also about twice the money. It was like 44 bucks from a company called Malkoff Devices. So I did a little research on them and learned they were headquartered in Alabama, which is right next to Georgia here. So I wanted to make sure they were made in the USA and find out if they were made in the USA. So I sent them a note and on their contact page, and the owner actually called me on a Sunday afternoon, and we had a long talk. And yes, they are 100% made in the USA. They're his design. He is a small family business, started in his garage, literally like, you know, the stereotypical started in your garage startup, bootstrap startup company. And now he not only makes several different adapters and drop-ins and conversion kits for Surefire and other flashlights, and also for Maglite, but he makes standalone flashlights as well, and they're higher-end flashlights. So anyway, he sent me one of these. I'll just cut to the chase. It's an M61, and as you can see, it's brass. It is rock and roll, really tough. So it has solid brass heat sink construction. The LED is a cool white Cree XP-G2, which is 6200K, if that matters to you. And the measured output through the lens is about 450 lumens. So no magical witchcraft here, no estimated, no what the LED is capable of. The actual light output from this unit is 450 lumens, and something you got to think about when people start claiming you know, lumen levels is that, what does that mean? Is that the lumen level the LED is capable of, or is that the actual measured lumen level? So this is their actual measured lumen level. The current draw is only 800 milliamps at 6 volts. And the full output runtime with two CR123A batteries is about 1.25 hours. And they say it has a nice even taper as the battery goes dim, so it starts getting dimmer on you as the voltage drops. Their literature says it will easily illuminate out to 350 yards and will blind opponents at 100 feet. This uses a custom orange peel reflector designed by Don McLeish with a very nice balance between throw and spill. So it's good for to light up a room as a short to medium spot. Designed for rugged service from the ground up, fully potted to stand up to rough service and recoil, and it's covered by their lifetime warranty. I think that pretty much covers the specs and details about this M61. So what we're going to do now is let it get dark. I'm going to show you the comparison between the original and the M61 in here in the 6P flashlight. Along the way, we'll also compare the Surefire Stiletto and Surefire Tactician, and we'll just go ahead and throw in the Surefire Scout that I've got mounted on my AR. So I'll give you kind of hopefully a good overview of how this thing stacks up to some other lights. So let's get to it. Okay, we're going to do the best I can with my camera. First of all, this is the vintage 6P with the original. So you can see it's a very yellowish light, and it's a pretty focused spot, and it does shine pretty good out there. So there's the original 6P, and here's the new improved 6P. Pretty big difference, huh? Like, wow. So this is the new improved 6P, and then here is the comparison between the 6P with the Malkoff, we'll call this one the Malkoff 6P, and the Surefire Stiletto. There's the Stiletto, aimed right at the old balance orientation rotation device, and there's the Malkoff 6P. You can see it still has a lot of spread out there, but it absolutely also has a pretty focused throw. Now let's compare this one to the Tactician. There's the Malkoff 6P and Tactician. You can see the Tactician does a really good job too. It puts a very even broad light out there, but it lights up that whole back too. It looks like there's a dark spot in front of the bore, the balance orientation rotation device there. That's just the camera. So there's the Malkoff and the Tactician. Finally, let's compare the Malkoff here to the new dual fuel Scout light. That's the dual fuel Scout light. That sucker throws it out there. There you go. Malkoff Scout light. So just one more time, that's the Malkoff version, and here's the original 6P. And I can see better with my eyeballs than the camera shows. My camera just does a horrible job with the flashlights, but maybe at least you can see the comparison. Okay, well, hopefully within the limitations of my camera, you can kind of see the difference between the original Surefire 65 lumens bulb assembly and the Malkoff P61, I believe it is, 450 lumens LED upgrade, which is now in my Surefire 6P. And just to be honest, you know, when this thing came out, 65 lumens was rock and roll. I can remember when 65 lumens was bright. This was a really super nice flashlight when it came out. So I think with the addition of a $45 upgrade from Malkoff Devices, it is now again a super nice flashlight comparable to anything else you can buy today. Now, a quick word about some of the light levels. This one is sort of a multi-function beam. I think it shines out there and did a pretty good job of lighting out in the distance, but it also has a good spread on it. If you noticed on the like the Surefire Scout, for example, it is so bright. I think it's like 1,000 lumens. It's not very useful for anything up close. So if you get too bright, it really washes everything out in your vision. You can't really use it for everyday stuff. What I like about this one is at 450 lumens, but the light pattern is bright enough to be a tactical advantage for somebody if you're shining in their eyeballs, if you're trying to defend yourself. But it's also got enough of a spill around it you can actually use it for everyday or normal type flashlight stuff. The Surefire Stiletto, which I've got here, did a really good job of lighting up closer areas, but it didn't reach out as well as this one. And then the other one, the Surefire Tactician, it's same thing here. It reaches out pretty well, but it's also really on the main level, it's really almost too bright to use for normal stuff. And it's got that little 5 lumens. You can turn it down to 5 lumens, and it works for close-up stuff. But for if you happen to have an old Surefire or whatever, and then you want to kind of upgrade it, I highly recommend the Malkoff Devices. This stuff just works. It's made right here in the USA, and it's in Alabama, in fact, and it's just a really in my opinion, a really good value at like 45 bucks. You can upgrade this to a really modern flashlight. So they also make their own flashlights, and we may be taking a look at some of those in the future. If you're interested in that, let me know. So once again, a big thank you to the folks at Malkoff Devices for sending me this so I could test it out and show it to you. I was going to buy one. He offered to go ahead and send me one to test, so thanks again for that. And as always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a new video every Friday and every Saturday, sometimes random videos throughout the week. If you want to make sure you don't miss a single one and get the opportunity to be part of some subscriber-only stuff going on, then I invite you to subscribe to my weekly email newsletter at survivalonpurpose.com/subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.